and I'm going to record this part. Yeah, and then there's going to be opportunity for a little one-to-one session or a question. So yeah, so as we're learning together through all the amazing sharings around this, that symptoms and illness can be a way our body-mind system is actually protecting us from deeper parts of us, or from another part of us, like the overachiever and overhelper and a peacemaker, those kind of parts as well. So when I think back to my own healing journey from chronic fatigue syndrome, as I mentioned, there was definitely quite a lot of anger that I had in my system. There was a lot of sadness, there was trauma. I also, partly as a reaction to all of this, had strong peacemaker tendencies and helper tendencies, and also some achiever tendencies as well. And even years after recovery from chronic fatigue, I was sometimes going back into CFS-like symptoms when a part of me was triggered by something, and I'd go into either feeling some fatigue or sense of dissociation, not being properly in my body, until I somehow felt enough safety to connect to what was really going on, and perhaps to connect to another layer of emotion that needed to be felt. And that safety might come through a one-to-one session, or being in nature, listening to soothing music, or just deeply connecting to myself and doing some inquiry around what was happening. And even last night, I was on day 3 of my period and I was really tired, and I got home from a gentle yoga class, or a yin yoga class, and I was slightly triggered because my partner said he was going to do his own yoga practice and would be ready for bed when I got home, and he wasn't. And then I'm going to go into a bit of IFS theory through sharing my own personal story. So a manager part of my system asked him, like, when you come to bed, can you come to bed really quietly, because otherwise you might wake me up, because you will make me up because I'm so sensitive. And I was definitely going into a bit of a controlling part of me. And then as I went to bed, and I realized that I wasn't just exhausted because of being on my period, that there was also like some deeper parts of me emerging. And I found a 2-year-old part of me that really wanted my mum or dad there to soothe me to sleep. And I was kind of therefore like wanting my partner to be there when I go to bed. It's been a theme in my relationships, this little piece, but it felt like a breakthrough last night. And I just soothed this little 2-year-old part, soothed this part to sleep in a way, in my own mind, in my own heart. And then felt so much better, so relaxed. My energy came back. I actually lay in bed for a short amount of time and just felt quite relaxed until he came to bed and went to sleep together, and it was fine. So in IFS, we have different kinds of protector parts of us. We have what's called managers or firefighters. So the managers are the ones that are proactive within our systems to avoid exile parts. So exile parts are like deeper sadness, deeper anger, inner child parts that have been exiled from the system. And so the proactive managers are parts of us that are perhaps overhelpers, or trying to control a situation, as a part of me went into last night. And it can also be achievers, peacemakers, that kind of thing. And then we also have firefighters, and they're reactive to exiles, and they're reactive to trying to put out the fire. And that can be parts of us that are drawn to addictive behavior, like maybe binge eating to avoid feeling, or binge watching Netflix. But it could also be symptoms. Physical symptoms could be where our body automatically goes into protecting us from feeling some of these deeper exiles as well. But also firefighters and managers are in relationship to each other as well. So they, it can also be a reaction to like protecting us from an overachiever part, an overhelper part, and that kind of thing as well. So there's ways you can work with that like really deeply, like we did earlier, some inquiry into the purpose behind the symptom or the symptoms. What would you be, and you can ask questions like, what would you be most scared of feeling or experiencing if you didn't have this symptom? What's your purpose for being there? What are you trying to protect me from? And sometimes that can bring insight. I'm not saying that absolutely all symptoms are connected with this, but it is a point of inquiry that is, you know, definitely worth exploring. If you've explored obviously physical roots to conditions and other things, it's for many of us, it's a really deeply relevant piece on the journey. So yeah, and with IFS as well, the more we can come and relate to our parts from us, from ourself, from our essential self, that's our most compassionate, loving, caring, curious, courageous, calm, creative self, clarity. The more we can relate from that place, or in the Gupta program, you know, our most loving, wise self, and that's where the transformation and healing can start to happen for these parts. So I'm just going to see if there's anything more in the chat, and then stop the recording.